Okay, welcome to the Swedish Junior Hockey Podcast. Jacob Dahlin. We were just talking offline a little bit here before we hit record. Today's guest, Johan Sjogren, big boy from currently Troja Ljungby, but originally from Stockholm. Welcome to the podcast.
Thank you. Thank you.
Well, the reason why I say big boy, because we always use elite prospects, 6'2", 227, left winger, and still active, right?
Actually, recently, about a month ago, I quit playing, so I'm a retired hockey player now. Though still working with the hockey, and yeah, we'll see what happens in August.
Yeah.
No, I'm not gonna do a comeback this early, but love hockey, work with hockey now, so it's awesome.
You're going to be like Dick Axelsson that never goes away.
Not really, but yeah, we'll see. We'll see about Dick. He just.
I think he just signed with Djurgården again.
I just heard he announced that he was a little bit like Zlatan, the Zlatan mentality. I'm available for Djurgården, but yeah, we'll see what happens with Dick.
I think I saw that on the elite prospects, but here's kind of so we have several threads that we want to talk about your background, and because you know this is a junior hockey podcast, and you have played in the U.S., played a long time professionally in Sweden, but your current role. Talk about your current role in Troja Ljungby.
Well, yeah, so it actually started this winter. During the season, the organization asked me, since next to the hockey, I study at the high school in Sweden or the university in Sweden to become a teacher. So the organization asked me if I was interested in taking over the hockey gymnasium that we have here in Troja. So we have a national hockey gymnasium. It's 33 of them in Sweden. It's all the CHL clubs, a couple of Allsvenska organizations, and it's Troja, Huddinge, and Karlskrona. It's in Hockeyettan level. So I found this as a great opportunity for me to start something new beside my hockey career, and it was something that I was really interested in doing. So when this question popped up, it was a no-brainer for me. It was as I said, great opportunity to use my experience as a player and give that to the players, as well as working with the mental part for the coaches and educate them as well. So when this opportunity showed up, it was an easy decision for me to take it and be a part of the development of young players.
And so you're over the hockey gymnasium and kind of organizing that, but you're also the coach for the J20 team, right?
No, I'm not the coach. I'm the head of the hockey gymnasium, so I'll do all the scouting and all the recruitment, but then I'm like a junior sport chief. So I'm the sport chief over the J20, J18, and the U16. So our elite block, or how to say it.
I see.
Yeah. So yeah, I'm the guy that all the parents gonna call when they're not satisfied with the coaches.
Well, I'm glad you already got that mindset. Yeah. But let's get started because, well, before we always have a geographical for those who are, you know, we have people who are listening from all over and they don't know, you know, we've done this is the third season now, and I don't even know exactly when I'm going to start calling this the third season, but we've recorded a little bit over 100 episodes. But the geographical component is because there's not a lot of people in the US or Canada that knows much about Sweden. So hopefully through this podcast, they learn a little bit about it. But Troja Ljungby is a club that there is no Troja, right? There's no city of Troja or town of Troja.
No, the town is called Ljungby.
Ljungby, yeah. But it's Troja Ljungby, but the town is Ljungby. I can't remember who I had on before. And we were talking about that. But Ljungby, talk about where is Ljungby in Sweden? If you're looking at at Sweden as a very long country or tall country, where is, if you're going to say, you're going to go, here is Umeå way up top and Troja is almost way at the bottom, right?
Almost way at the bottom. It's like let's say between Stockholm and Malmö. It's like halfway, an hour away from Jönköping. So it's geographically it's a perfect town for everyone, because everyone is just traveling past Ljungby. So it in my opinion should be a bigger city. But yeah, it's I don't know the story behind it, but there's a lot of stuff that complements.
It probably has a lot more to do with it's more about the interstate highway or the E4, the European E4 road, rather than what made cities really big was more waterways in the past, and they didn't travel very far with horse and carriage back in the days. But you're not from there originally. You're from Stockholm.
Yeah, originally I'm from Stockholm, a little town called Tumba, south of Stockholm. So that's my hometown and my home club as well. That's where I started my hockey journey.
Yep.
And yeah, it's a lovely little town city. As often as I'm up in Stockholm, I try to just visit. I have a couple of friends still living in Tumba, so that's a nice opportunity for me to go home and kind of visit my roots.
Yeah, I had to look at it too, because I'm so bad with, Stockholm is so many of these smaller little communities, and we've had, I don't know, 30, 40 people from Stockholm on the podcast, and everybody's from this little special area. I see it's really close to Ekerö. I think I was there a couple of years ago visiting someone. So, but close to Huddinge. So Huddinge has been kind of the is that where you got it? Is that where you went to hockey gymnasium, or?
No, I actually went to the hockey gymnasium in Tumba. It was as I mentioned earlier, we have the NIO, the national. I went to a Lee gymnasium in Tumba. That's a local, and that was a great education for me. That was perfect because my first year when I was in the gymnasium, I played in Huddinge. Huddinge is kind of like if you back the time a little bit, when you played in Tumba, you only played junior or youth hockey there, and then kind of the next step or the next station was either to go to Huddinge or Södertälje. So I played my first junior year in Huddinge, had my education at Tumba Gymnasium.
And you played with the previous guest, Tommy Enroth?
I played a couple of games with Tommy. Yeah, that was I think my first year in Huddinge. Tommy's 3 years older than me. He's born 87. So I remember my first year in Huddinge, I played J18. Tommy was the captain of the J20. I played a couple of games with the J20 that year. So yeah, we shared the ice a couple of times.
Well, and not a big deal, but you won the point. You had the most points on that team.
Yeah, that was when I was young and an offensive player. I mean, I had a pretty funny transition as my playing type since I quit my career. But yeah, that was when I was young. I had one thing in focus, and that was the offensive game.
Yeah. And then let's fast forward a little bit. But so you finished your juniors, and then how in the world did you end up in the North American Hockey League?
That was actually through my agent. I had the same agent for since last 14 years. And he asked me if I was interested in going over play juniors in the US. And I thought it was a great opportunity and chance for me to kind of explore the world and try something new. I think I had like 3 seasons in the Super Elite League in Sweden. So I've done a couple of years there. So when this came up, I thought it was a great chance. So actually, first when I went over, I went to Omaha Lancers in the USHL. So I was there for like 1.5 months, the preseason. Didn't really settle there. Didn't really understand the difference it was between playing Swedish junior hockey and the US, the mentality, the toughness, everything that was a part of it. So actually, I had a coach called Bliss Littler. He asked me if I wanted to stay, and he kind of felt on me as well that I wasn't feeling that happy or that energetic at the practice. So he asked me if I wanted to transfer or if I wanted to go home, and then I said I wanted to transfer. So the former NHL player Paul Baxter was the coach for Wenatchee Wild in the NA. So he called me, and I thought, well, let's give it a shot. And I went over there, and I loved it. It was an awesome adventure. It was an awesome year for me as a player to be able to play in front of a big crowd. It was a kind of small city in the United States measure. So I think it was like 250, 300,000 living in Wenatchee. So small city, but still a big one.
And just to kind of, for those who don't have elite prospects in front of me, that was so 2010, 2011. There couldn't have been, it's not the same amount of players then as it is now, Swedish players that played junior hockey then, right?
No, I actually think I remember was some, I don't know who it was, but there was some kind of like we had Hockey Sverige, the website.
Yep.
They wrote a lot about junior hockey before. There was this guy that had a blog for juniors playing in the US, and I think at the moment it was not a lot of players. I remember we were 3 players in the NA, 2 guys in, I think, Kenai River Brown Bears, but then it was me, and then a couple of guys in the USHL.
Anton Olsson played in Corpus Christi for two games.
Okay.
I'm looking through here. Mattias Dahlström in Kenai River.
A goalie?
Let me see. I'm clicking on him now. Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. Remember him? Yeah.
From Smedjebacken, Dalarna.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, Leksand guy. Why do I not know this guy?
Yeah, so it was a couple of Swedes, but mainly in my point of view, I thought it was mainly like Czech guys and a couple of Finns as well. But we were a couple of Swedes, but it was fun. It was kind of new for the environment at home as well. They kind of raised their eyebrows when I said I was going to play junior hockey in the US, but it was a great adventure, and yeah, kind of, how to say, in my hockey career journey, I kind of regret that I didn't go through college.
Yeah, I was going to ask you that. So that was on my notes. That was my next question. So did you have the ability? You had not played as a pro before North American Hockey League. Was it on the table to stay and go to college?
Yeah, it was. I had a couple of college requests or opportunities to go to, though I hadn't done the SAT and the ACT, I think.
Yep.
And as I understood it, for kind of each day that went, it was the scholarship got lower. And I thought it was a good. I thought that it would be good to go home and play senior hockey, play Hockeyetten or Division 1 as it was called then. But I mean, when I look at it now, it would have been a perfect way for me to get an education, play on a high level. It was kind of good colleges that was interested in signing me as well. So you learn by your mistakes, though it has led me to different paths in the lives as well. So it's not something that I regret in that way. But in my hockey career, maybe I should have done that instead of moving home that quick to Sweden.
Yeah. But I mean, you did well. So that was a good move. You know, there's so many subjects that I'd love to have talked about, but one, you know, I bring up Urban Umark a lot because I've had him on the podcast a couple of times, and we've talked about this thing about playing at the right level and how that creates success. And maybe we can tie that in a little bit later about mindset and mental strength. Because so what did that do for you when you were, you know, you went from the highest level in Sweden in juniors, but you come over a completely new circumstances, coming over and playing at the USHL. I don't know how much different USHL was back then than it is today, but it's, you know, super high level.
Yeah.
And trying to break in a new playing style. And then, oh, here you have the opportunity to play still at a really, really high level, but it's now you have a bigger role in a little bit step down role. And how that then, you know, I'm sure that from a confidence standpoint made a big difference.
Yeah, it totally did. And I mean, I think that skill wise, I was able to play in the USHL, but it was the mentality, it was the toughness. I didn't really. I remember we had this player called Seth Ambrose. I think he went to in the Columbus NHL draft that year. But I mean, I remember the first skating when we had the first practices, and he was just, if he had to slash a guy just to get the puck, or if he had to kind of hit the guy in the back, it didn't matter because he needed a spot, he needed the ice time, and I think with my Swedish mentality then, I wasn't really ready for that. So yeah, I didn't have the toughness to kind of take the space on the ice. And as soon as I got the puck, I was kind of a little bit afraid. I remember before I went, I also took contact with a mental coach just because I was nervous. But I mean, exactly as you said, it was a great step for me. Then actually that year, that west part or coast division in the NA was, I think it was the second highest ranked in the country, so it was a good level. But yeah, I think maybe the role of coming from a higher step down made me more confident and calm in my way of playing hockey, and that kind of led to great results for me personally in the team.
Yeah. Was that the first time that you started kind of working on the mental side, or kind of maybe not working, you probably weren't working on it purposely, but is that when you kind of got into that, if you look back?
Yeah, I think that was the first time that I realized that it's so much more than just the body, the physical preparedness. I mean, I talk with my clients now that I coach that 90% of your body is your actual body, but it's the last 10%, your head, that it's actually controlling the body. And I mean, when I play in the USHL, that first, it was like 10 practice games. We had some showcase tournament or something like that. I wasn't slower, I wasn't weaker than the other players, but I didn't have the confidence or the calm in my play to being able to make some plays and that kind of stuff. So I think, yeah, as you said, when I look back at it, probably that was the first time that I realized, okay, this is a big step for me. How am I gonna handle this? And it's been a good lesson for me in the future, of course. But I mean, it was a tough step, but you need to work with that, and that's something now when I'm part of the junior hockey in Sweden. Uh, this is something that actually not that many clubs working with, and
Yeah.
it's kind of terrifying in my opinion.
Yeah. Well, or it's a lack of optimization. I mean, it's an area. Why do you think that is? And then we'll transition over into that. I want to kind of finish up on your career, and just to set
Yeah.
the stage of kind of talking about the mental game. But why do you think that is that clubs don't invest as much into that?
Oh, it's a million dollar question. No, but I think that the problem is the coaching, the mental coaching, is probably where the physical personal trainer was like 20 years ago. I mean, when I was younger, no one had a personal trainer. It was the team trainer that did the physical workout. You didn't go to the ice during the summer. It was just when the ice season is over, you were practicing off season. I mean, now almost everyone at a higher level has the personal trainer. They go to a lot of camps, staying on the ice like as much as possible. I think that still the mental stuff, maybe I'm 5 years too early or even 10 years too early. Though it's kind of surprising because when you see it in the society as well, a lot of especially young kids, boys and girls, are suffering from like mental illness and anxiety and that kind of stuff. So it's hard, it's tough. I think that the clubs, the society should invest more in it. It's only the big clubs. I mean, the SHL organizations, they have it for the senior team.
Yeah,
maybe a little bit for the junior teams, but I mean that's only a small part of the big hockey Sweden or hockey community. And I think that we're losing a lot of kids during the like 15, 16, 17 years stage because of mental illness and yeah, not feeling secure in themselves.
yeah.
And I mean, nobody has teach them that, so it's not that weird either.
Well, and I think that it's the human body and the human brain goes through different growth. I mean, just physiologically and development, it goes through different phases, and certainly there's a lot that goes into it at that age group that also tends to coincide with your body changes, and then it coincides with these high profile, high pressure times like TV-pucken, hockey gymnasium, and then juniors, and then it goes into this crucial time of end of hockey gymnasium and end of juniors into adult or elite, and especially male physiological changes doesn't necessarily catch up with that. But let's go there. Let me hold that for a second, and because I want to look at when we look at your elite prospects. So all the way up until now, after North American Hockey League, you came back, played for what, 12 seasons? Is that how many, or roughly 11 or 12?
Yeah.
As a professional player, not at the absolute elite in the SHL, but you've had a leading role in a pretty successful team that has been kind of up and down. Well, you were in a few, but the last 6 years with Troja Ljungby, and you've been in a leadership role there the whole time.
Yeah. And I mean that's something that I'm really proud of. I was the captain for the two last years. Before that, I was the assistant, and I mean that's something that I think came up as an opportunity since all the, how do I say it, the lessons that I learned during my junior years, taking responsibility for myself and being able to put that into the group as well. So I mean, mostly my whole senior career, even when I played in the beginning in Skövde and Panten, I almost always been some kind of captain, assistant, or captain. So that's something that I really enjoy. It's a part where I think that I can not only help myself, I can help others as well. Being able to push them and be a part of the success. I mean that's something that it's hard to describe. At the same time, when I played my it was my fourth year in Troja Ljungby. We the year before we went up in Hockeyallsvenskan. I mean, that was amazing. The year after, I personally had a great year, over expectations for myself. Though with the team, we got relegated after one season. So I mean, that was a really tough season, though, and I felt that, I mean, I was one of the leaders. I had a responsibility for the organization as well. So when they asked me if I wanted to stay, I felt that this is a part as captain to being able to play up the team again in Hockeyallsvenskan.
Yeah.
And I mean, both me and my wife, we really enjoy it here in Ljungby. Our two kids love it here. So it was a natural decision to stay here. And I mean, I really appreciate everything that Troy has done for me, and now this is kind of my way to give something back to them.
Yeah. Well, let's switch into then your kind of your role here, because you have two well, you do multiple things. You have your responsibility with the club, but then, you know, this is where it ties in. It's such a small world with this podcast, because so you have Mind Sport, which is your own company, right?
Yeah.
And we'll talk about that. But then you also work with Björn Bjurling and Mike McCarthy with Future Stars Academy.
Yeah, exactly. I've been working with the Future Star now for, actually talked to Mike yesterday, and we said it's 5 or 6 years. But yeah, it started out. My brother is a former pro player as well. He's a goalie instructor with Björn.
Okay, and that's Pontus.
Yeah, exactly. And then one day he asked me if I want to be a part, working on their summer hockey school with the Future Star Academy. So Mike called me, and yeah, since this I've been stuck to them. I really love working with Mike and Bjorn. I think that, well, everybody who's working with Mike and Bjorn is the same, but I mean, what I love is that it's not always being the best. It's about give 100% whatever it takes, and always compete, always try to develop. And I mean, we got all the kids that are at the Future Star and the BB Academy, they are there to progress, and they're really putting in the effort. So that's what I love. I mean, now we're gonna have our summer camp in roughly a week, and yeah, I love going up to Stockholm, work with the guys. We're an awesome group outside of the ice. Mike and Bjorn wanted to take a new part of the hockey into the academy, and that fits perfect with my specialization on the mentality, on the mental training. So I mean, I'm both an instructor on the ice, but I'm also doing some theory sessions with our players concerning the mental training.
Yeah, I mean, so you know, we've had a lot of Swedish players that are playing juniors over here on Gustav Blom, Henrik Mark Norén, Sami Larsson, a lot of these guys that have come through that program, right? And it's been kind of and then of course I'll follow it on social media and follow Mike and Björn, and it's interesting to see kind of the success they're having in they're getting recognition in the teams over here that are wanting to come over and play juniors over here. So it's here's one thing I think it's interesting, because I've noticed this, and I've had some conversation with different people, and it's interesting because in your role in being over juniors and the NIU, and you are in the club, because not everybody in Sweden, they have a love-hate relationship with players leaving.
Yeah.
So let's talk about that, because I mean, I understand it, but I don't really understand it. And I wanted to hear it from you that have seen both sides of it. And there's a little bit of competition with these guys that are going through Future Stars Academy. I mean, there's some that are going through it because it's great training, but it is a pathway and it's a funnel to be seen like a showcase for scouts that wants to look at them to come to North America, primarily US.
Yeah.
But that's not every club are partners or embracing that thing, because they're losing players potentially, right?
Yeah, yeah. And I mean, as you mentioned, we have the showcase. It's always in the beginning of May, and we have a lot of players. We have a lot of teams, coaches as well, looking at the players. But I mean, yeah, I think, as you say, it's a love-hate relationship. I know that the players or the clubs want to keep the players here in Sweden. I mean, especially the SHL clubs. They think it's a perfect way to get some players up in their senior or A team. The problem that I see is that I'm a statistic guy, or statistic nerd, so I look at a lot of stuff, and I mean, I looked at the last year where the teams SHL and Hockeyallsvenskan and also Division 1 actually picked up their juniors in their adult or senior system, and in the SHL they picked up seven till 8 players. I mean, and a couple of those players was like Sandin Pellikka, who is a star player in the SHL, Lekkerimäki, who is probably gonna play NHL anytime soon.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I mean, yes, these guys are high draft picks.
yeah, and I mean, they're exceptional, talented players. But I mean, there's a lot of players that doesn't go through the senior teams, and they go out and play. I mean, there's nothing wrong playing hockey at them, but you're not able to get the education that you can get through the US system.
Yes, and I've spoken on this quite a bit and fairly critically, not to be controversial, but I just think it's my thought is that there's much more opportunity for Swedish or European players in general to. I think it's Swedish Hockey Federation is doing a disservice because they're not set up to be, and it doesn't seem like they care about the university part of the hockey player versus the guy that comes through and goes and gets a university degree in the US. They can come back and be super productive in whatever level, Hockeyettan, Allsvenskan, or SHL, and they have a university degree in their back pocket that they didn't have to pay for. Now, and if you looked at all of these players that are going, yes, they're not SHL, they're not Allsvenskan, they're not going to get into those areas. They're going to go in Hockeyettan. They're not really going to get paid. I mean, they may get paid a little bit. They get a little bit of housing and free equipment, but they're really not going to. There are lots of these teams are going to get a place.
Yeah.
Right. And they're fighting for these because I mean, it's a cheap labor force that fills these teams, and they're really, really good players. But do you see that? Do you feel resistance from the clubs that they don't really want to promote the player to do that?
That's a hard question. I'm not sure if it is the clubs or the federation that is kind of stopping or kind of want to stop the players from going over. But I know that some clubs are really like into it and really approve players and like push players to go and play in the US. A couple of clubs are not that into it, so it's maybe, I don't know, maybe it's 50-50 or 60-40 in that way. But I mean, there's a lot of players, as you said, that can get a college education, a degree, and come back and play hockey at a high level. I mean, we have players in the SHL, we have players in Hockeyallsvenskan that are college players, that are top players in these leagues. And I mean, we have these are two guys that's been through the Future Star program, or at least one, and the other one has been a part working out with us during the summer. But I mean, we have this example, Wilmer Skog, played juniors in Västerås, went over, play NA I think it was 1 year, and then he signed with Boston College, or BU, Boston University. And I mean, he is signed for he's been to 2 dev camps. I think it was the Vegas and was it not Arizona, but it was one more. And he signed with the Charlotte Checkers, I think, this year, playing AHL.
Yep, right down the road from me.
Yeah, and I mean, he wasn't. I don't even think that the senior team in his organization, when he played back in Sweden, didn't even look for him. So I mean, he's done this journey. We have this kid from Linköping, Alex Malinovsky. I don't know if he's been a part of it.
Yep, he was in AIU, American International. Yep.
Yeah, and I mean, he had his first season in the AIU was just awesome season. He had a rough start last year, but he kind of picked it up, got up the pace. Then he got injured, and he's still struggling with his injury right now. I hope he will be on the ice with us next week. But I mean, that's 2 players that weren't any interest for the senior clubs where they played. He played in Malmö, Wilmer played in Västerås. But now I think that a lot of clubs back in Sweden would appreciate them to work for them. So I mean, it's a great way to get both educational in the, how do you say, the studies, but the theoretical, and also the hockey education, because that's a big part.
I agree. I mean, I think Wilmer Skog that would be a poster child. Getting a 4-year degree from Boston University, and playing. We just hasn't been released yet, but we did a episode. It'll be released before yours. Kim Brantvold, who is the assistant coach at Boston University. If you look at that roster, they had 13 out of 23 rostered players are NHL draft pick, and that did not include Macklin Celebrini. So it's pretty amazing for someone like that to play 2 years in the NAL, get into Boston University, and then just the fact of like breaking into that roster and then contributing. I mean, he was almost a point per game there. But more importantly, I mean, who knows how long that career will last? He could end after a couple of years, injuries or whatever. But what they'll never ever take away is a 4-year degree, a bachelor's degree from Boston University. And I think you can attest to that too. It changes you as a person. You now are not lived in a fishbowl. And if you take someone that has experienced that in life versus someone that has never left, their town, they're more mature as a person, and well-rounded, and their mind is expanded, and it affects their projection in life. Here's where I want to go last, and that's so this mindset. We've had several, and they'll be released before you. We just released a couple of weeks ago with Mike Hartman, who talks about mindset a lot and is a Stanley Cup winner, Stanley Cup champion. But I wanted to kind of take this on an applied 3 different scenarios. Let's talk about mindset. And I wrote down, and I took it from your website, about the goals or objectives is really to help the player. Why should someone have a mental coach? Is to help them to become stronger mentally and more confident. Is that kind of the 2 main things? Am I leaving anything else out? That why should someone have it?
Yeah, I mean that's the biggest part. So yeah, of course. That's the 2 main things.
Yeah. So 3 different scenarios that I want to talk about. Big over here in the US and Canada now, it's about tryouts, right? I'm trying to make the NA team, or trying to make the BCHL. I'm trying to make CCHL or OJHL, or I'm trying to make NAL. Number 2, maybe more now for the Swedish player, I'm in the training phase, right? And the mental game of and the grind of off-season training. Maybe we'll start there, go to tryouts, and then the last one is going to be staying on a team and succeeding. And maybe the fourth one would be in the game, and the game within the game. And we may need to do a follow-up on this because I think it's super, super interesting.
Yeah.
But let's do short one here on the off season. Season's been over since March, April. And I'm now in this grind. I've been in the gym a lot, but I'm also competing with Sweden right now. You're getting into midsummer. Over here, school's out and competing interest, and your friends don't want to train, right? And the competing interest. So it's a grind. And if you don't train, I had this conversation with my son last night about, you got 4 weeks, 5 weeks until main camp, and you can't take any days off, even though your body and your mind wants to. Let's talk about that for a second.
Yeah, and I mean that's something that I talk a lot with my clients right now. That this of course this is a preparation phase, but I mean this is also a part where you actually can invest in yourself. I kind of make similar to a company or a stock where you actually invest in yourself, and then you want to get some kind of payout and paycheck for it. And I mean this is the same with yourself. It's a tough time, but you have to do it. I talked with a client yesterday and sat with him, and I said the importance of just maybe put in an extra rep when you do something, maybe run these extra kilometers and that kind of stuff, just to push your mindset. Of course you're competing with everybody else, but just this mindset of, okay, I gotta raise my standard level, or how standard bar, how to say it, just to push yourself. So kind of if you want to go to the next level, you got to compete on the next level as well. And this is something that I wanna apply to the mindset of young players, that you don't only have to do what you're said to do or told to do. You can actually do a little more extra. Just all the extra things that you do gain your advantage on everybody else in the group. And I mean, this is a tough season. This is a tough part of the season, but you got to be strong and do the work that the coaches actually care of.
How much does the preparation and the planning go into your philosophy of mindset or mental strength versus or can you be, or is that crucial in to prepare in your strategy, so when you are there to do it, or is that part of the mental, do you train that way?
Yeah, I mean, yeah, that's a part of the. Yeah, I totally understand. I mean, that's a part of the mental strength, or the mental practice, or whatever you want to, brain strength, call it whatever you want. But I mean, a part is to be disciplined, to be to actually, how to say it, optimize your practice and plan it so you know what to do. I usually refer to a clip. It's called Demons on a Boat, and where they talk about, there's a lot of guys, people, call it whatever you want, is just wandering around without any purpose or goal in life, and they don't understand why they don't achieve anything. And I mean, this is a part of it, being able to set up goals. It could be long term, but especially short term goals. And I mean, one goal can actually be go to the gym and finish the workout that I have prepared. So I mean, if you start doing that, it will be easier for you to accomplish bigger things later on. So that's a big part of the mentality strength, or the mental strength. And I mean, being disciplined, being able to actually do what you're supposed to do. And I mean, we will talk about it later during the games, but I mean, the trust in your process, that's a very important thing. Not being able to change some stuff just because you think it's good. I mean, trust in your process, do what you have decided to do, and just go through the whole.
Because the flip side of that is if you don't have a process and if you don't stick to that process, it could be situations that comes up, and some of those situations can be negative. I don't feel good. I'm a little sick. You know, I'm tired. My buddies want to go to the lake.
Yeah.
You know,
And
so
I mean,
do I really want to work out today?
Yeah, and I mean that if you fast forward the tape, I mean a half year, and you go into the season, and you can apply that into practice, or you can apply that into a game. I mean, if you're used to finding excuses from when you're at the gym, this will be a part of your personality on the ice as well. I mean, it's not my lucky day today. The puck bounces off. Coach was yelling at me. I had an argument with my girlfriend before the game, so I didn't feel well. I mean, it's easy for you to put up obstacles in front of you if that's a part of your season now already. I mean, you won't get it.
So is the foundation, is the preparation and the strategy and the planning the foundation that makes the building so stand strong in the high winds, so to speak, if you want to use a metaphor?
Yeah. I would say that. I mean, most of my clients think that we're only working during the season and between games and that kind of stuff. But exactly as you said, this is the part where we lay the foundation and like kind of reflects and see what we're done good, and then working on that, building our house or our tower on that foundation. So yeah, this is a major part of being able to be mental strong and relaxed during the season later, because this is hard work, exactly with the physical strength, or the mental strength is also a big part. It's something you have to work with. I used to say that the brain is a muscle as well as the legs and the heart. So I mean, you can work with it, and you have to work with it to get process or progression and that kind of stuff.
Yeah. Switching to the next one then, tryout. I am now sitting, I'm getting ready to go to a main camp. You've been there. When you think back of your main camp at USHL, or you may have gone straight to training camp, but
I went straight to training camp. But I mean, I totally get the situation, and I had a short lecture about it when we had our showcase, because this is also kind of like the tryouts. But I mean, this is that's a part of being just loose in your confidence and in your body. A lot of guys, I was actually a professional on it when I was younger, but I mean, getting nervous, getting tense. Instead of seeing the opportunity, I started worried about stuff that may happen. I may not make the team. I may make a bad pass or play on the ice.
How important is it for you to have, and we talk about this sometimes with kids, that the first time they went to a main camp, they were so surprised and overwhelmed, versus, which can be the same time, the first time you play in the men's game, the first time you play in a finals or a playoff, or, you know, they haven't been there before, versus the experience of, oh yeah, I know, either directly because I've experienced it or I've been told, so I'm prepared for that. So if I'm going into a tryout and I've never been to a main camp or training camp, but, you know, and then you just get shocked over, oh, I thought I could hold the puck longer, and boom, here I get hit on the first shift. We've had those conversations, and they're like, and that throws you off your game.
Yeah.
So how important is it to either get eased into it rather than being punched in the face?
I mean, I think it's a big part of it, and that's something that I'm not saying that kids are lazy, but most of the kids just, as you said, show up to the tryout. They haven't looked it up before. They haven't kind of study what will happen, how many guys will be on the ice, will there be people in the stands, and that kind of stuff. So I mean, that's a preparation phase as well, and that's a big that's something that I think is a big difference between success and non-success. I mean, we have a lot of young players, Swedes. I mean, look at Leo Carlson now playing in the Anaheim Mighty Ducks. Of course, it was the first time when he played in the NHL, but he was prepared. He's done his background fact. He has looked it up. I mean, it's not something that he's just laying on the couch, get a call, hey, come over and play in the Anaheim and the NHL. So I mean, it's a preparation phase as we go back to the off season, as we talked about now before, getting ready, working towards that next goal, and that's the same if you're going to try out. Have your mindset put on that. Okay, I'm gonna make a spot, not what happens if I blah blah blah. So that's a big part of it, and yeah, just being prepared, and have this, yeah.
And also how I'm going to do it, right? Not just this is what I'm going to focus on. It was funny when we were talking to Mike Hartman, he was talking about when he was he had the conversation about, well, how am I going to make an impact on this NHL team, and he had a goal of he needs to have 7 shots on net. So that became kind of like, okay, it wasn't you're going to have these types of shot, or you need to get, no, I'm going to have some way, I'm going to end this game, I'm going to be looking at my stats, and I want to have 7 shots. If I focus on, they don't have to be grade A chances, but that's what was in his mindset and the preparation. So he was focused on, he wasn't focused on how many goals did I have. He was focused on, his goal set was not, it was more in front of him, which was, I'm going to have 7 shots on goal, one form or another, which made him a kamikaze to kind of go and freaking drive the net all the time and get shots. And guess what happened? He had success. It kind of followed.
Yeah, and I mean, yeah, I totally agree, and I mean that's a perfect way, because that's something that he's aiming for each game and striving for to achieve. But I mean, also something that I'm talking with the players about is the acceptance of, okay, you're not gonna play your A game each day, and you're not gonna play your A game each game. And I mean, when you're at the tryout, it's not just you have 60 minutes to show everybody that you're gonna have a spot on the ice. Usually, you have a couple of practices, and the acceptance of being able to just, okay, this was a 2 out of 5 practice. I'll get a new chance in a couple of hours or tomorrow, and that doesn't mean that I was starting a 2 out of 5 scale. I mean, I can start on top on that next practice. So the acceptance of having bad days, bad games, as well as good games, that's something that the kids got to be aware of before they go to tryouts or trying to make it to the next team.
All right, so let's switch to the last part, and again, we could talk for hours on this, and it's super helpful. Game, or I made the team. I am now playing in the games, and let's take the scenario of I'm -1. I just got scored on.
Yeah.
And you've seen symptoms of that.
Yeah, and I mean, I've experienced this as well. I mean, many games that I've been playing, maybe in the first shift, I'm able to score a goal, and it feels like this will be an easy game, and I can do whatever I want in this game. And then it's, as you said, a couple other games where the first shift you get scored on, and it just feels, okay, is this how it's going to be? And I mean, I've been in that situation. I try to help kids right now with, I usually call it the reset button. I mean, it's not just because you have a shitty first shift, that doesn't mean the rest of the 59 minutes of the game will be terrible. I mean, being able to reset, you have 3 breaks in each game, so you're being able to reset from that. You're not playing 60 minutes during a game, so you would be able to reset after each shift as well. And I mean, that's a part. When you have a tough start on a game, I usually say to the one that I'm coaching that, okay, just lower the bar, go out and play some kind of simple, easy shift just to gain confidence. Maybe each 4th or 5th shift, try something hard. Not that's going to put the team in a bad decision or not decision, a bad situation, but try something that will raise your confidence and raise your way of being able to perform even higher. So, I mean, that's something, it's been a big struggle for me the first pro years, just to, okay, I had a bad start. Now this game is just shitty.
So let's peel that onion a little bit.
Yeah.
What do you see is the biggest thing that people struggle with that scenario? Is it to kind of, I don't know how to shake myself. I don't have a reset button, or I don't know, I'm hitting the reset button, but nothing happens. Or give me an example of where when you, a kind of a universal thing that a lot of them struggle with.
I think that one of the biggest problems is just the awareness, or not the awareness, but the knowledge of being able to use the reset button. I mean, many of the guys that I'm talking with, when I mention the reset button, they're like, "Oh, this is something new." But it's when you talk about it, and when I mention it, they're like, "Oh, this is, of course, this is kind of natural, and this is an easy way to just get your mindset restarted." But I mean, I think it's a lack of knowledge that is the biggest issue, and the acceptance of being able to have a low, how to say, a low performance, or like a low level performance for a while. That doesn't mean that you're gonna perform badly the whole day. And I mean,
Do you build that
not,
into the practice, in the actual on ice and off ice practice, to use the reset button, or do you
yeah.
only do it in games?
No, I use it in practice as well, and I usually like use it as a metaphor. Have you ever seen this coin drop thing, when you drop a coin and it bounces to different paths? And I mean, I say to my clients, either it ends up in a good way or a bad way. So let's say it's 10 in the bottom row, so it's 5-5, but can't you change the pattern so it will be like nine good and 1 bad? And that's something that I tell them, or kind of make into the hockey situation. Is it luck, or is it bad luck that you're having a good day, or can you actually decide when you go to bed, okay, tomorrow's going to be a good day? Can you start preparing your body for, okay, I got a game tomorrow, I got a great mindset, this is what I want to work at, this is how I want, I mean, visualizing, using pictures, seeing, okay, this is what I want to do, or am I just going to wake up tomorrow, okay, I'm feeling well today, or no, this isn't a good day, so I will probably perform bad this evening. And I mean, it's yeah. I mean, you're laughing when I said it. I'm laughing when I said it as well. But this is something that kids, or not kids, players are struggling with, even at the highest level. The knowledge of, it's not luck. It's something that you actually can change, or your way of thinking, your attitude.
Yeah. All right. Last thing, we always ask each guest, and then we'll hit the end button here. But you met yourself at 17. What advice would you say to yourself? Things you know now that you didn't know back then.
Oh, that's a hard question, but I think the biggest part of my hockey, that kind of never took me to the next level, because I felt that I have the potential of playing at a higher level, but something stopped me. It was my head. And I mean, maybe the easiest answer for that was go out and have fun. I think that the listeners had heard it probably a million times for coaches, from coaches and parents. But I mean, having fun, that is that's the main fuel to get progress. As I say, every time when you're in a flow situation and everything just works out fine, you're always having fun. No one is feeling sad and that when you're in the flow situation. So have fun. I would tell myself just go out, enjoy the situation. You never know when your career ends, so just enjoy the moment, have fun, believe in yourself.
Yeah. All right. Last thing, we have a partnership with Target Aid. Target Aid is out of Stockholm, fundraising platform. I'm not sure if Troja Ljungby is a Target Aid partner, but one of their is pretty cool kind of content driven crowdsourcing. But one of their initiatives is Klubben i mitt hjärta, or Föreningen i mitt hjärta, or the team in my heart. Which so you've been involved in a bunch of them, but which one is Klubben i mitt hjärta for you, for Carl Johan Sjogren?
I would say actually Troja is the club in my heart. Of course, my heart pounds for Tumba as well. But yeah, Troja is a big part of my heart. It was really devastating for me when we get relegated from the Hockeyallsvenskan. It was a tough time for me. I really enjoyed it here. It was a tough time for me quitting in Troja as well. So Troja is the club in my heart. It's fun that you mention it, because I had a meeting with the Target Aid like a couple of weeks ago, and actually today we put up a fundraiser for the hockey gymnasium here.
Awesome.
So it was fun that you mentioned it. But yeah, Troja is the club in my heart.
Well, we will make sure that you will be do the initiative there, but we're going to have a second initiative, which is part of us, and that's that every guest will be listed there, and then hopefully what we're trying to do with that initiative is that each club takes it upon themselves to take the content and then share it on their social media, and maybe build a fundraising effort for a specific purpose for that. I think it's great for organizations, and it's a great way to use content and stories to get out there in some ways that perhaps they're not done it in the past. So
yeah, totally.
It's been fun to chat. Such a small world. I've been gone from Sweden for 30 years, and this is my way of staying connected, and these little paths are intertwined in so many ways, and it's fun because we all love the game so much.
Yeah.
Well, thanks for coming on, and we'll stay in touch. Good luck here at the off season, and in your new role with Troja Ljungby.
Thank you so much. Thanks for having me.